The film Psycho and its musical score casts a shadow some 50 years after it was made. The Duluth Superior Symphony Orchestra is screening Alfred Hitchcock's classic suspense thriller and playing the musical score to Psycho live. Here to talk about the film and the Psycho event are film critic Brent Nottbaum. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure.
And Kevin Hoshin from the Duluth Superior Symphony Orchestra. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay, Psycho. Where does it fall in our collective psyche?
You know, in thinking about what to say about this, I kept saying, why after 50 years is this still this film that captures our imagination? And I guess the short answer is it's still a scary movie. You know, it's still sort of the definitive scary movie in a lot of ways. And in part because of its music, and in part because it's directed by the great Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense, but in many ways was also the master of film technique. And so if you look at each shot, the editing, the cinematography, the performances of the film, everything about it come together to create this masterpiece of horror, of terror, that has, of course, perhaps the most famous or one of the most famous sequences in all of film history, the shower scene.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Kevin, it's the music. And even Alfred Hitchcock knew the music made a difference.
Oh, definitely. When Bernard Herrmann wrote this music, you know, he did amazing things that had never been done before. He decided to use only the string section of the orchestra. And then when they asked him later why he decided only one section, we said the film was in black and white, and he wanted to use only one color of the instruments of the orchestra. So he took the string section. And the string section he chose because you could get the widest number of effects. I can show you like some effects for scary music, for example. We sometimes will play close to the bridge called Sol Ponticello, and you'll probably recognize this tune. A really icy sound, and then you can do things to sound like a knife or something going like, which is used on this page here.
So you guys are ready to do this?
Well, we will be by a week from now, yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And it is in black and white, and that is one of the I think when we're used to a Technicolor world, seeing a black and white film today kind of adds that element of mystery or impact or,
You know, it was actually Hitchcock's first black and white film in several years. He was just coming off a series of some of his most successful films in the 1950s, perhaps Vertigo, Rear Window, and North by Northwest, which was the film that he had completed just prior to this. Of course, at the same time, his Alfred Hitchcock Presents television program was going on, and that was in black and white. But part of its being in black and white, Hitchcock felt that it was just going to be too gory to make a film like that in color. This is a film that was made in the 1959 and released in 1960, an era in which gratuitous violence was not allowed because of the production code. And so he felt that black and white would allow him to get away with some of the implied violence that was going to be a key part of his design for the film.
And it definitely did, right? Especially that shower scene. Have you guys watched this film again since you started? Yes?
I was watching it earlier today, and it was really frightening. One thing I thought was really interesting was that Alfred Hitchcock had decided the shower scene would be silent and have no music at all. But Bernard Herrmann said, listen, Mr. Hitchcock, the music I have will make it even better. And sure enough, when Alfred Hitchcock heard what he had written and that amazing music, he not only used the music, but he doubled Bernard Herrmann's salary.
Awesome.
I didn't know that. He also, at the final climactic scene in the film, because he loved that music from the shower scene, he chose to use that in the final scene of the film, which was also originally without any kind of a score. And Hitchcock and Herrmann were watching a print of the film, and Hitchcock said, we need to replay that particular piece of music here at the end of the film. And of course, you know, the shower scene gets a lot of the play, but the ending of the film is pretty darn scary as well.
It's just that scary kind of setting. You know, it's like, oh, rural scene, scary guy out in the woods, you know. So what do you play during the shower scene? Do you know? What's in your...
Actually, we've got it here. I found it here. It's really interesting because the only thing I think scarier than violas playing up high and sliding, we've got this thing that goes, like I was showing, which goes like... And the only thing, if you look at this, I'm like going up to an E flat, but Ron Carey next to me is going up to an E natural. So the only thing scarier than a viola doing this is two violas doing it together a half step apart.
And what do you think Wayne and Julie, regular symphony goers, are going to think about sitting down and watching a film while you guys perform?
I think the more you know about it, it's like any masterpiece. You know, the more you look at the detail, the more you appreciate it. I mean, you can take like a little motif, like something like, you can build something amazing, and when you understand how it's put together, you see the power of the human mind. The same thing is here. He uses these little tiny, these little motifs to create like this feeling of agitation or worry, you know? Yeah, and you'll hear it all the way through. It's amazing how he uses this little idea, just like Beethoven used it, to create something really human and very powerful, and it's right there.
So are you going to go? Have I hooked you in? Do you want to go?
I want to go very badly, except for I'm out of town that particular weekend. So, but I think an opportunity, and I was just telling some of my students about it earlier today, to not only see Psycho projected on the big screen, but to actually have a live accompaniment for a movie, which is something I have experienced a couple of times in my life, is really one of those unique opportunities because it sort of combines what's best about both cinema and live performance. Two things that seem sort of separate in some ways, but when they come together, it has that same energy that one gets out of experiencing something live, but also then the beauty of the image that the cinema can offer.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic, and I know not so scary. There's actually a kids concert on Saturday. We have to sneak that in really quick.
Oh yeah, so as a prelude to this, the day after tomorrow at Denfeld High School in the auditorium, our youth orchestras are putting on the Not So Scary concert for kids, first one ever. Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. We're doing all kinds of great music, including little bits and pieces of the Alfred Hitchcock, bum, 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 Scooby-Doo, Phantom of the Opera, Dance Macabre, all kinds of really, really fun, scary stuff just for kids, and kids of young and old.
Well, thank you both for sharing your expertise and your enthusiasm. I think it's a great opportunity to show off what we do in this town, in this community.
Absolutely.
Great. Now I just want to remind you, Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho with live score will be screened Saturday, November 3rd at Symphony Hall here in Duluth.